I'm the executive director of the center. We work at the intersection of sexuality, health, and gender. For most of you who work with us know that. We are also running a clinic this semester called Gender Law and Difference. And basically, the idea of the clinic is to work on one or two projects that come from the community. So we're working one on education, which is what Rudrani is here to speak about. And we're doing a second project on a legal literacy project with some of the community friends, which is towards the end of this month. So we are very, very lucky, in fact, to have Rudrani. I've known her for so long, very inspiring activist, somebody that I've had the opportunity to learn from a lot. And so Rudrani runs an organization called Mitra Trust. It's a very interesting NGO that works on many important issues, including MSM, transgender rights, and hetero rights. And she's going to speak to us today about education, right? For education for the gender non-conforming and transgender community. As you know, the NALSA judgment happened in 2014. Many of you are aware of the NALSA judgment. We've also had concerns about its implementation because of certain hurdles posed by the law itself, but also how it's been implemented at the state level. So we've actually filed from the center about 130 applications around the country to see what each university is doing to implement NALSA and the UGC circular that came out in 2014, October, and a second one in 2015, February, that said that if you are a university that's recognized by UGC, including gender, your form must have an option for other, you must have an infrastructure that's trans-friendly, you must also have students where you can have sensitization programs and trans students on scholarship. Right? So something for us to know as students who are based in this university that's UGC recognized, but also other universities, like Delhi universities and many other universities that have opened these spaces, but then what's going on with certain number of students dropping out, as was reported last 6 months back. So what does it take for us to create an inclusive space for education in India for gender non-conforming students? Thank you so much, Rudrani, and all friends from Mitra for coming here. I'll let you take over.
Intelligent people, especially people who are going to become future lawyers, or you are in some way connected. Because I personally don't understand, because you people have read a lot about Indian Constitution and things. I'm a person absolutely brainless about such things. I mean, I'm not very academic. I'm not very technical. But what I'd like to do today is talk about myself, my people, my community, which I do not want them to be my forever. Stay, be only a community which is excluded. But I want them to be with you, in coming futures, or however we can plan. And this is why we have been doing series of workshop meeting with different universities and colleges, where we're trying to talk to faculty, students, everyone. Each and every person is important for me. For example, from the security guard out there who's standing there, if he makes me very uncomfortable as a student, if I want to come here and get education, I don't think so I'll be willing to come to your university. But it's okay. I understand it's not easy. It's not easy in India. We can talk about rest of the countries also, so don't mind. I mean, the situation is almost, everywhere it's same. But to, kind of gather everything together, I'll talk a little about myself, who I am. So, and also I'd like to understand, what do you understand about, who are transgender and who are gender non-confirming people? I mean, it's not nothing. I mean, it may sound, very different word. I mean, something you're doing very different, But what do you understand by it? I mean, you have to. At least we're gonna talk and we're gonna, exchange our things. So it becomes much easier for me, and it should not be a kind. I want it to be interactive in a way, because I mean, if you're just here, sitting here to listen to me. I mean, for me it's kind of waste. So, have you ever interacted with anyone who's transgender, or somebody who's, it is very, I find it very difficult sometimes to say those words, like gender non-confirming person. Have you ever? Anyone? Any chance? Any friend?
Yeah.
Somebody you have read about? See, there can be two things. You can be right or you can be wrong. I mean, this is. I mean, the world is. No, no, nothing is going to happen. Your university will be safe. No attacks. Nobody is watching you here. I don't want to talk political right now, but I can't stop sometimes. Thank God Aditya is not. Okay. So, anybody wants to share something? I mean, but why you people are sitting here? I mean, why do you want to listen to this lecture? The first thing is important for me. Because I may not continue just for the sake of do this lecture for 1 hour, where I don't see any kind of curiosity, or I'm not pushing you too much, but at least give me a little bit, so that I can.
Maybe because we don't know a lot about them and the community and the problems that they face, and we really want to know that what are the challenges they face in daily life, and how they feel about it, and how can we make a better place for them.
So you have this, understanding that there are challenges and there are some kind of difficulties for trans people.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen in any kind of institution or educational environment where you have seen some people who are a little different, according to you? Different. I'm purposely saying this word right now. I don't mean to.
Someone who's
What do you think if somebody who will come out all of a sudden? Somebody maybe sitting next to you, say, okay, you have been, you know me like this for a very long time, but this is who true me is.
Yeah. That's the thing, that no one comes up and
Right.
Exactly, that's what I think we need to change.
No, okay. Yeah.
It's probably the concept of alienation that something that even if they are whatever they are, important to society. It's the kind of fear, internal fear which they might possess.
Yeah, so I had a friend who recently she came out as a transgender woman, and she never actually told this to anyone how she felt, or she just recently has started telling this to people. That's mostly because all her life she's been bullied for not conforming to what gender roles are and how she's supposed to react because whatever reasons. And now that she's come to a university space where she can understand and people can understand what transgender is and they need rights and everything, she feels comfortable to come out and say out loud that, okay, fine, I don't feel like a man, I feel like a woman and this is what I am. So I guess because how people treat transgenders, they don't have any rights, people are scared of them. And it creates a very negative attitude and atmosphere for them to be able to tell people how they feel. So it's very important to understand that and make them feel.
See, okay, there's one. Okay, yeah, you can.
So quite like my friend Radhika, I also had a very close friend of mine that was always sidelined, even by educational, like our teachers would also sideline her for who she wanted to be. And
You notice it?
yeah, it was clearly obvious where there was a segregation when you start student lines, okay, girls in one line, boys in one line, and the teacher would snicker at her. So it was quite obvious. So what I wanted to learn here was more about trans visibility and also trans inclusivity. Because like oppression against people who are trans is like archaically institutionalized, and so we need to start taking steps against it.
Okay, living in India, if I want everyone to just imagine trans people. How do you imagine them? Of course, you picture someone. Of course, whenever you think of someone, okay, how does heroes look like? You have some kind of characteristics and roles, and of course, the person will be good, killing bad. So how do you picturize any trans person in India? If I say transgender.
What you say, but there are certain intuitions which we have, like stereotypes about them, or them coming to
I want to hear that.
your houses, and before, I remember when my sister and my mom was pregnant, my sister, they had come to get money and all, and we've seen them in trains and all, to get extracting money. So that's the form in which we have seen it, but obviously that's not the end to it, and there's more to it. But that's the sad plight of these people in our country at least.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Anyone? Yes.
So same kind of situation. Unfortunately, the only way I've been exposed to transgender people is in a situation where they come at you with blessings and they ask for money, and my mom will tell me, don't lock the car door. I was in a petrol station and she said, lock the car door, because I see them there, they'll come and they will ask you for money. And I was small, so I didn't know what to do, and this was the first time I was exposed to something like that. So I was scared, so I locked the door, and they came, they knocked, and they were saying something in Tamil. They were like, I'll bless you, and stuff like that. So I was just there, like, okay. So that's the first ever exposure I had, and I feel, and after growing up and, you know, learning about these things, I feel like that's quite unfortunate, because my first exposure to some different kind of community was a negative one.
We'll take. Okay.
Similar to like when I was young, there was this impression like my mother told me that transgenders were this people. Like they always, whenever we have any kind of a function like a childbirth or a marriage, we should take their blessings because God has given them certain divine grace and they have made them that way. So that was the first impression I gained. Eventually, when I grew up, I realized that it was a segregation of the entire community from the society.
So okay, let's hold here. So one thing for very clear, what I understand, everybody how they picturize of their experience of somebody transgender is somebody who is a man who is feminine and only comes to beg, eat, or come for badai. So it is you're only thinking of somebody who's a trans woman, and they're into their traditional occupation of, or like how your parents have said things about them. So this is the only one thing we can understand. So it means we are not even have the clear now, for example, this is what it was. Now do you have clear understanding who transgenders are?
Yes.
No? Be very clear. It's okay. Because till date today, working for so many years, I don't understand my own subject sometimes. I know, oh God, am I right? I said this, something. I said, I go and cross check. I said this today. Is it right? And somebody clears me. Okay, no, clear. No, you said something. So it is okay. So do you understand who transgenders are? Because it is very important if you really want to understand, access to education for transgender and gender non-conforming students, making education more inclusive for them. Do you know who transgenders are? Who? Nodding head is very nice. I like it. But do you really understand? Yes.
Someone who's born with a certain genitalia. So if I have a penis and I don't conform to the gender role that is attached to a man, I would be a trans woman. That means even though I was born with a penis, I want to be a woman. I feel like I am. And for a woman, like someone who was born with a vagina, for them to believe that they're.
So there's whole, different, how, I don't know, should I say definitions of how you define people. There are cisgendered people, cisgender male, cisgender female, and transgender and trans female. If you go and do a little bit of homework and try and understand who they are, then it becomes little, easier for us to move ahead, because we are not doing our part. We are not doing. Because when I asked you about transgender, it was mostly, 3 people spoke. You were right. But this is how it is. This is how it is. We can only think of someone who is trans woman. To say it in Hindi, or like being in India, in Delhi right now, hijras. Who are transgenders? I might go and I ask, anybody somewhere, for example, your security person up there. I said, who is transgenders? Of course, for example, they have a little rough idea. They say, oh, hijre hote hain. So do we have any idea what trans men? Anybody have, met any trans male, or So I think you'll get more chances in future to interact with such person. But it is important. So So, I mean, there are many kind of different identities we do have in India, especially when it comes to, if we talk about transgenders, let's not touch other part because you'll get really confused. Then you'll be, what shit this person was talking, and she made us, more confused. So if you go across India everywhere, transgenders do have different identities, culturally, state-wise, religion, everything comes in. Transgenders are from different section and they have different rituals and different X, Y, Z, and there are no place for a word transgender in India. If I'm only talking about somebody who's right now as me, and mostly people whom I work with, biological born, the gender is by doctor someone is assigned as or given as male, but later on the person decide as to live as a female or a hijra or a kinnar or arwani, jokta, jokappa. There are many names. So so when we talk about our people and we talk about education, when we want to, I mean there are million of things, lot of problems around, but if education is something which we have started talking about, and even that after Nalsa judgment, Deepika was, I requested her to come and talk about Nalsa judgment on the education part of the issue, and I also, we shared this thing. We never thought of, 10 years ago that Hijra people will ask for education. Transgender people will ask for education, because, don't get offended, seriously don't get offended, because people sitting other side thought like we are not good enough, or still think we are not good enough to get education. And if you want to get a good job, for example, any job, the first thing you go, what the person will ask you, what is your qualification? And if you want to get your higher education, for example, you want to go to college and university, for example, any transgender who wants to become a lawyer, so this person can, get a bird, be at home, do things, and directly take admission in the university. Is it possible? So what this person needs to do first? Primary education. Okay. So just before you people came here, we were discussing one thing with Sumit. Sumit is a very old friend of mine, and our like last one, Delhi governor, Najib Changa. So this person reserved, a quota or some percentage of, admission for trans kid in school. And when we went there, and we randomly went and asked, are you going to give admission to transgender kids? And they said like, yes. And I said like, so how are you gonna, do that? Do you have understanding of who transgender kids are? But the idea till date, big number, 99.9 of transgender person in India is somebody who is born 86 of Hamafilai. So this is what the idea is. Have you ever heard of it? People used to say, चलने का बच्चा ऐसा हो गया उसको लेके चलेगा. You've seen this movie? Some of, I don't know whether you have seen this movie or not. This is a Pakistani film, Gold, where this child is born with, no confirmed genitalia, and the hijras do come and, ask. Oh, Monu is taking picture and we want your consent if, are you okay with it, or like, direct your face. So people till date do have, understanding about transgender people that they are only somebody who are hijras or kinnars and they are born intersex. Oh, Hamafreda, I mean, this is how doctors define. I don't know how lawyers do that. Do you have some kind of definition of transgenders? You do have. The judgment says. Anyone have gone through the Nalsa judgment? Yeah. So it is absolutely clear. I mean, how beautifully it says Nalsa 1. There are two different bills which has been proposed. One is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. I mean, too many things I'm saying together. It will confuse you, but I want to get everything in one arm. But it will not happen. But she'll of course help you in. So again, going to the education part. When this primary, education thing, when there is no atmosphere, there is no resources, or the first thing, there is no understanding at all about transgender person, then how do you think it is possible for anyone who is at that point of time is not confirmed about his or her gender will be able to access education? So relating to this, I will tell my story that I was born as male according to my parents, according to doctors, according to the entire world at that point of time. I'll not tell my age. Okay. But when I was growing, and I studied from a boy, it was a boys' school. Thank God, I mean, they all loved me. I was the prettiest one. I still say that. And they all used to, protect me. I'm really lucky when I want to talk about my parents and my, schoolmates and class friends and other people. They protected me. But when I passed out and when I came out of school, I was unaware of all the things who gays are, what, different sexualities are, what different gender are. It is something, which I was, I was going through and I was, understanding them and I was kind of taking in, so I was doing that. So it was a bit easier for me. It was easier for me. But when I started working with a group of people who were like me, and when I was hearing their stories, it was really sad. It was really sad in the sense of, there are rapes, not only from, somebody who's your neighbor or uncle, but your home, and a place where you go to, get education, schools. There are cases where somebody was sharing in the people also that this class teacher who after the examination earlier, I don't know, nowadays it's grade system. Earlier it was, marks, 8 marks, 10 marks, 12 marks, whatever. So to, give you good marks, this trans person who's trans now, used to give sexual, do sexual favor or do whatever XYZ, so that, other than, even after, doing good in her exams, she was asked for, sexual things, and this is how this person was harassed. And this person was so fed up that she thought, now, at that point of time, this person used to identify, herself as him, because was very confused and not able to understand, not able to express, but just because was very feminine and very effeminate. So the school, whom you call, I don't know, assistant or peon or whatever, used to harass in sense of rape, which I can, I can say, because I work with sexuality, gender and things, we people are very blunt and shameless sometimes. So, but I don't want to be, you guys are kids here, okay? And there's again one more pain, we don't like to talk, but I don't know how I can say this. So this person used to rape from security, from the chowkidar the security guard, peon, your coach, I mean your sports teachers, your school teachers, and your seniors. So imagine, I mean, this is something we have been saying again and again, and it's like, it doesn't pain anymore. I mean, it happens. अरे स्कूल में तो होता है, ऐसे लोगों के साथ ऐसे ही होता है. I mean, it happens to people like us. But you have to think, you're going to an institution or you're going to a place where you are going with some kind of dream, some sort of dream, and you are harassed at every next step to ensure that you can, and you can move ahead. I mean, you can go further. It for me, for you, I mean, sorry again, but it may be just a sentence. Oh, I was getting raped, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And on top of that, this person is not able to report it because if this person reports to somebody else, some other teacher, there's a possibility that person also going to, do the same thing. Or this person, like you say, how teachers also, neglect you and do things to you. Or if you tell your parents, because I see I'm very lucky in my family. They all accept me and whatever happened. But my father used to, always tell, तुम ऐसा क्यों करती हो यार? ये तो लड़कियां करती हैं ऐसे. तुम try to be a little masculine and do things. So I've gone through. It was only 1% or 2% in my life what happened, but others' life it happens to the extreme level. So imagine a situation where you're talking about difficulties, challenge, and how you can make place safer. Just think of this person who was raped again and again, from a security guard to peon to teachers to even principal sometimes to your football coach and your seniors, and you go and you tell parents, you get more screwed up because parents will blame you for it because you did something and you provoke. I mean, we have multiple reasons. Like India, you got raped just because you were wearing this short skirt. And what silly reason you can give, So now there is some different campaign is happening. I don't know why it is required. It should be there in brain forever. Like now we need to teach our men how to behave. Why we need to teach our men? I mean, please, for God's sake, we're a human being trying to understand. So it is exactly the same in our situation. We have been trying to teach people. We have been trying to tell people. But why it is required? Just because somebody is different, and not, like others, you cannot do things. It's just not only sexual or, say bad names. Okay. Just for a fun sake also, how many of you, be very honest, especially boys. Don't call me feminist later. No, आई थी वो तो बड़ी नारीवादी थी. Don't say that. I'm just saying, when you see a gag or in a Hindi movie or something, there are words called used like chapka. हाथों में चूड़ियां पहन ले, मर्द का बच्चा. Sorry if you're not able to understand. How many of you have enjoyed it? Well, seriously. I did because I was unaware. I was like, what chakka chakka bole? There is very famous among us, क्या कौन सा एक downtown some music is there ना? कौन सी film? And there is some film. So we have enjoyed. So see, this may be very little thing. I study with you. I believe you are my friend. You are someone who's very close to me, and I can share everything, everything. Once you come to know what gender person I am or what sexual orientation I do have, next minute you're not my friend anymore, and you tell the entire world. And from then, that very moment I will not like to go to school or a place which is supposed to give me education. So these are very small examples. They're extreme extreme level of, things happening in such places. So what we need to do is, like, we are here again, and this is the other side. So what do you think is a solution? Because we've been having, we are having dialogue with different institutions, universities, college, and of course they can give education. Of course, for example, if you have such system here that you're giving education to anybody who's gender non-conforming or transgender or hijra, okay. But how you personally make it more inclusive for them? This is what the challenge is, because somebody said, like, you need to educate your people. Educate in sense of, like, behave. For example, if I am sitting with so-called, let's not even say so-called, say normal bachches, kids, I need to know how I have to behave. How I need to behave? What should I do? What should I do? Tell me. You have to tell. This person is somebody, a very highly, big official person, educational, ministry, and I'll not name, other than my life will be screwed. You need to educate your people how to be, and they gave option, okay, अगर वो उनके साथ नहीं पढ़ना चाहते तो हम उनके लिए अलग से शुरू कर देंगे कुछ. How inclusive it is. Again, it means you're discriminating and you're stigmatizing and you're throwing them out. How it is possible? So if I ask you, what one change you personally can do? Don't tell it, don't be very nice, okay, we'll treat this person as a friend, we'll go out for a coffee and we'll, go for a movie and we'll share our notes. Nahi chahiye. I can have my own coffee, I can go for a movie myself, and I can make my own notes. This may be very simple. You don't have to be very technical. You don't have to, go through your logbooks and don't have to change policies and do things. You personally.
Maybe not make a big deal out of it.
Hmm?
Treat them normally, like just another person. Not make a big deal out of it, like what their sexuality is or what they are. Just treat them like just another person, like normal.
Sometimes this normal word also kills me. I don't know. Sorry. Yeah.
So I think this is a very small change that we can bring in. It's very much in our hand, the type of words and language we use. So using a faggot as an abuse, or using chaka as an abuse, or giving it a very negative connotation that it is insulting a person, it's insulting the entire community. So I think if we bring that change in ourselves and if we see somebody talking like that or using that word, we should at least tell them no, it's wrong. Because it's not an abuse, it's not a negative word. You are making it a negative word by using it in a negative connotation. So I think that is one thing.
But I also believe at the same time there are two ways to do it. One is negative, direct, and one is indirect. So, calling names and, or maybe, what was the other thing? Calling names was one thing, right?
Yeah, calling names.
Calling names. It's something which you're
It's just
direct.
not, but we don't just do it to the other community. We sometimes, if there's a guy who's behaving in a feminine way, or whatever, so we'll be like, for example, if a guy is wearing a pink shirt, for example, it's a very small example, but so we are like, ye to aisa hai, ye to chakka hai, whatever, why is he wearing something like this? So you are understanding, by doing that, we are kind of, making it a very negative thing. So I think this is what we can stop, and this is at a very, very personal level.
And indirectly, we also to acknowledge that you can feel feminine as well, despite identifying as a man or woman, because when you yourself feel that you can appreciate different temperaments of your body and your mind, then you can appreciate another person also being different. Then it would not feel like an insult, it would feel normal. It would feel different, it would feel like it's a part of us as well.
Then
I think more than making them feel how to be normal, just understand how everyone should be aware or educated about. Yes, there is a third gender, and
it exists like to normalize yourself rather than expecting someone else to be normal around you. Like it would be my problem if tomorrow someone walks in and their sexuality is different from mine. It's a it's a flaw in my understanding of sexuality.
So you mean to say, if I want to be a little blunt and very direct, I mean, I don't care who you are. You come here to study, you study and go.
Yeah, but if I want someone else to respect.
I mean, no, I like it. I mean, I really like it. I really like it. If you come here to study, you want to become my friend, I'm fine with it. But I don't care who you are and what you, until unless you want to share something with. I'm not, I'm talking about my boyfriend, what I'm doing. Okay? Until unless you want to share things and I want to share things. But sometimes we want to go, in depth and want to understand each and everything. Till माँ ने आज क्या बनाया था? Getting, you were saying something.
In one direct way and really simple way, but one direct way, especially with regards to gender non-conforming persons or persons belonging to the transgender community, would be to ask them how they would like to be addressed. Which pronoun to use for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
मुझे अभी भी सर बोलते हैं बहुत सारे लोग. कसम से. And I was telling her that people still call me sir sometimes. I was like, okay, चलता है. क्या कर सकते हैं? Yeah.
Exactly what she said in terms of internally trying not to impose our own perceptions on someone else and trying to understand where the other person is coming from and then understanding how they want to be dressed, how we are supposed to. I mean, that's another way of inclusivity.
Good, yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
In doing all this, don't you think that we're imposing too much on that person who does not belong or who does not conform to any gender? Expect, if you ask that person, probably the person doesn't have that answer.
We are Indians. This is the answer. I mean, sometimes we are so, overwhelmed in the way, we become very nice and we want to do very seriously something good for you and अच्छा तो बहुत परेशान है तो ट्रांसजेंडर है ये है तो कैसे बुलाना है बता मैं पूरी क्लास को बता के आऊँ we do so it is in a way it is okay until unless this person you don't have to also go and ask what you want. You don't also want, have to do things. There is always a direct, idea which I'll throw and which will give you an idea that how I want to be addressed as. Then after that, please stop using your brains. This is it. But we are Indians. I'm not Indian, I'm sorry, but I've been, saying so many bad things about it. But it's, it's all over. It's all over. And especially, for example, I'm only talking about, trans women here, for example, education part and everything. This is very nice when you talk of trans men. When they are young and they are very, behave boyish, everybody is very happy. मेरी तो लड़की नहीं लड़का है. ये तो मेरा राजा बेटा है. Until another this person, grows old and goes to college and all of a sudden falls in love with some other person, other female, and goes and tell mother, माँ तो वहीं बेहोश हो जाएगी. तूने तो रोटियाँ बनानी थी, तू कहाँ फिर दूसरे के घर में रोटी बनानी जानी, तू कहाँ किसी को रोटी बनाने के लिए यहाँ ला रही है. So it happens. So see, patriarchy is also one thing. And I'll tell you, you can't even imagine there are stories where such trans men who identify as a trans men, they are raped. What do you call it? Corrective rape. So they are raped by their own teachers, classmates, brothers, cousins, neighbors, everyone, and not allowed to talk about it or not allowed to report it to anyone. So, because I personally know one trans man who lives in, from a very lower, financially very weak and lives in slum. just because he likes to be with other boys, because this person is also, I'm purposely saying it like using pronoun she for her right now, because she is so confused right now that she lives like a boy. She wants to be addressed as boy, but when we want to give that respect to this person is again so scared and not taking it. Because when these persons go out with, the friend who are in school, who were in school, now I don't know where this person is, and they used to do drugs after school, I mean this government school kids, they're into many other things just because, there's not proper monitoring system and things like that. And other friend who are boys used to drug this one and used to rape, almost every week. But this person was so okay just because he wanted friends who's of the same gender this person, believes as he is. So this is as shocking, as you can't even imagine in our countries and many countries. And patriarchy is one thing. Patriarchy is one thing, you believe it or not. Racism is one thing, you believe it or not. It's everywhere. It's everywhere in the air. So when we talk about education part, so for somebody, because big number of people you can only see of trans women in India who are called hijras or transgender, when they come, you don't see them as a human being, you don't see them as a student, you don't see them as an 18-year-old person who want to get educated or get education. You only see this person as a caricature of a human being. We don't like that, right? I mean, seriously, we don't like it. I mean, this is honestly, sometimes I'm also racist. I mean, I'm very honest about it. I'm racist, sometimes I am, most of the time, and I go back and think, okay, I behave in such way, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. But it happens, every one of us, you can see, you're not the finest one. I'm not the finest one, everyone is. So it happens. So what my point is to say here, we have been lobbying, what we have been lobbying about is, higher education and free education and everything. But how do you ensure the system becomes in such that the people whom you are trying to do so much for are really, coming there and getting what they want. So this is big challenge. So of course you can, how do I say it? Meet more people, talk to more people, have an understanding, and just not one lecture. Because usually what we do, our task is over when we are doing something. And I hate this thing because I was very upset. I mean, you saw my post, which people come, people make documentaries, people attend lectures, people, write stories, people, and it's, it's something, it's selling it's selling like hot potatoes. I mean, this whole transgender thing. But when the community really wants your help, you're not there, which I do personally don't like. So education is also one of them, which when I say, I mean, the kind of effort we have taken, we are trying to do as a very small organization, and a very good friend of like us, Deepika and the rest of them are trying to help. We did not get help, to spread the news and spread, more awareness about it. And I was upset about it. So we need to make, we need to create resources, we need to create more things, more idea, and innovative. I mean, I don't even like this word. Every time I think of innovation, I don't know, I again just screw my brain and what innovation यार वो आता है कुछ मतलब दाल में कुछ अलग डाल दो वो innovative हो गया ऐसा नहीं. What you can do, you have to think. How can you can make it inclusive? That is you. Of course, there will be, and people ask, people call different universities, different college, and these policy makers and departments call us and they ask, what do you want? What we can do for you? We want nothing. Arey bhaiya, we want nothing. We don't want different, toilets also. We don't want, very, soft and, big sofa for us to sit and do a, thing. We don't want any kind of fancy, pink paper notebook to write our notes. We don't want anything. We don't want our, golden pen in our hand with the golden ink. We don't want anything special. We just want to be treated normal. Normal in sense of
Thing is, if we change the perception right from the start, that is, when a child is born, like why restrict to a male and a female? Have a third category. I think probably you are not aware at that age, or the parents are not aware. So when you are enrolled in schools, right, you can have another category. So they don't feel like they are segregated. They have their own gender. And another thing I feel is like children normally are terrified seeing transgender people. Like I personally was. No, like in public places.
I know, I understand.
There
I
are like
totally agree.
harassment cases. Like I've personally felt like they demand money. Otherwise, I'll kiss you and things like that.
I'll come to this one.
So
Yeah.
so if that perception is changed that they are also like general people, they won't do any harm to you, then probably people will be more like accommodative or something.
Okay. There are two things. First thing, it's not answer. It's just an my personal thing which I'll to share with you. I do have a friend. She's a cisgender female and she got married and kid happened, baby. And I call her and I said, congrats, sweetheart. Boy or a girl? A friend of mine says, the child has not decided yet. Amazing. So this is the beauty. But from the day, the child is born, our family is like, थाल कब बजता है? लड़की हो जाती है तो फिर तो क्या? इसका सोचो भैया कहाँ से आएगा? So, we people are so, so worried about and so, we decide things. So first thing is like, how to make it normal, not normal. I don't understand that. Let child decide. Let's have this. At least for now, it is not, the situation is not such. I don't think so. It's going to be in another 20, 50 years. But of course, we can dream of something after 50, 60 years. Then when we have a place where we live and we don't have, babies are not born with tags of male, female or whatever, and this child can later on decide. Some people don't like to have any of gender. There are friends who have no gender. I said they're genderless people. उनका क्या होगा भैया? वो तो हमसे भी अनोखे हो गए. वो तो third gender भी नहीं मानते. And the second part is, of course, people are scared,
Yeah,
but
and like
I'll tell you.
What happens is people like shut their windows up and something.
Okay. For example, you're standing somewhere, a mall or somewhere, or a public place. Let's make it more local, localized. Some Sonipatka market or somewhere. I've not seen this place. And 10 boys, not even 10, 3 boys for example, or 2 girls, 3 boys, mix of group. They keep staring at you.
I know, it happens both ways.
Listen to it. And they, will you go back, go to them and will ask, do you have any problems, sir? You're looking at me? It's your right. You can do that. Right? For the same for you. If you're standing somewhere and forget about the boys. If boys do so, you of course you're gonna dial, 100. I don't know what would you dial Sonipat here. 100? 100? What's 911? Huh? It's 100. So see, it is believed and it is system when you are confirmed male and you're confirmed female. You have a secure place you get it or not, I mean, that's another story. But if you're a transgender, a hijra, forget, I mean, the whole definition of transgender comes to hijra. Whether it is school, whether in your most safest premises, you may be a home or whatever, XYZ, if people are looking at you, people are laughing at you, people come and thrash you, do things to you, you have no right to say anything or oppose it. So this is where they have this kind of avatar, or in a role, or very whatever you say. I don't want to put any word to it, where people are scared of them. Literally, if they are scared, I think it is good. But this is the only self-defense mechanism they can use for them. And another thing, they come and ask for money. I can ask any one of you. It's which month it is? April? 11 o'clock. Forget 11 is also too late. It's 10:30, 10. Go out somewhere, any traffic signal. Stand there for like, how long you can stand? You can stand half an hour? I think you'll do good. I mean, 10 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes. If it's a challenge until you're going to win Spitzwilla or something. Okay, if this is the challenge. Okay, other than you're not. Think and imagine a person who's trying to earn bread and butter, because there is still not bread and butter for herself, and because there is no system where this person can earn, because there is no education, no job, and nobody is also taking you as domestic help. So you do things, because I'm asking you, you're not giving me, and I really need to eat, because I also get sick. It's not that when you get sick, you eat different medicine and I do different. When you get headache, you take paracetamol and I take hijra, paracetamol, hijra, mitamol, whatever. That's nothing. Same here. The food which you eat is, you must be eating a little costlier. I must be eating 2 chapatis with a chal, but also it costs. Well, if there are ACs, I also need fan. If you're living somewhere, you pay good rents. I also need shelter. So end of the day, bills are for everyone. Bills do not come with gender, and I have to survive. And this is where you do things where it's शेर को कभी देखा है? शेर को बोलो भैया तू हिरन मत मार, गाय मत मार, छोड़ दे. Is it possible? It's just nature. Everybody wants to survive. There is a way. I mean, people find out way. People do sex work. I mean, the organization I work with, I don't say I run, I work with, I'm part of it, I'm one of the, I don't know how much time I do. 99% or 99.9% of them are into sex work. And whenever we want to understand what is sex work for you, they say, it is in Hindi, somebody can explain later. जब हम काम पे जाते हैं तो हमें ये नहीं पता होता कि हम लौट के आएंगे. And what does it mean? You can make any idea? What does it mean? That you may get kidnapped, of course killed, raped, things happen to you. One of the cases which I can tell you is like, उसका वाला कब हुआ था? उसको गोली मार दी थी. 3 साल. अरे वो नहीं, जिसका कान फाड़ गया. क्या नाम था उसका?
वो तो हो गया 3-4 साल.
It's not 3 years, but it's the story you get to hear. This person was doing sex work, somewhere in Mahipalpur, Kapasega, and was shot in the night and did not go home. Nobody was bothered because nobody, to take care. You live differently in small hut or whatever, water. And some truck driver went to this place to, for to urinate or whatever. This person sees and inform other people. When we went there, we saw she was not having both the ears because rat in the night ate entire, the whole ear. This person. Half of the body, body parts were taken out. The rats were eating this person. So it's a horrible life. You want to survive. You want to survive. This may be saddest story. I mean, I'm become emotionless person. I've become emotional person. This kind of story don't even, I give mar gayi to mar gayi, ek bhid kam. I feel that sometimes, and I feel ashamed of myself. But the whole point why I'm here is to talk about education part. Education is something which I don't think you have to think again and again how we can do things for transgenders and how we can make it inclusive, and just be as you are and let them be as they are. It is you'll do absolutely fine. You'll be a very nice person. I'm sure you all will get to go heaven. No hell for you. But sometimes treating differently is also it's not nice. Treating someone special is also not nice. Sometimes you do you call it positive stigma, you call it. Have you ever noticed any positive stigma? Girls go on date, who pays the bill? It is positive stigma. I mean, it is a gender, the whole gender things come and who will pull the gate? I mean, somebody pulls the gate for me, I said, please, yeah. So some people call me, ma'am, out of respect, I said, don't call me, yaar, मेरा नाम रुद्रानी बुला दो, मैं रात को आराम से सो पाऊँ. So, I mean, some people may like it just because the hypocrisy and a whole lot of things are there, but sometimes, being saying nothing also works. So, when somebody will ask you, I don't know, it's all up to you again, that what you can do, then you think again, do I really need to do, or just, leave the place for other also, that what I am getting, they should also get. Because if it is your right, it is her right also, and it is her right also, and it is his right also. And it is my right also. So don't do extra, don't try to take away things, or don't, try to put your extra effort as like, Indian, thoda aur kha lo shaadi mein. Don't do, relax, just relax. Be relaxed and let other people relax. This is all what you do. But of course, our system need to work here, because people up there, of course, are the people who are holding a position. As a student, I have to set your part. Maybe in future you're going to take such position, very important position where you can be a decision, you can bring change in the policies and do things. Then do things. Then do things. I mean, then you are, then I count. Do things. Now you don't have to do anything. Just relax, be yourself. But of course, people who are there up with their own prejudice and own ideas and own thing, now we need to work with them. And the last thing which I want to end up my story, whole thing, kitna bolti hai ye. It's not your fault that how you behave. It's been, हमारे में वो कहते हैं ना इनिशिएट वो बैठ देते हैं बचपन से उगाते बीज बोते हैं ना तो it comes. Maybe they also don't mean anything, but it was like पकड़ के ले जाएंगी वो आंटी तुम्हें बचपन में यही होता था. Go away, don't come in front of them. सुबह किनको देख लिया and all those things. So, and it is not also their fault. It has come from their, their parents, and which came from their parents. So if you ever, I don't know what your sexual orientations are, how you identify yourself. If you ever get married and have kids, don't do to your kids. So this is the best thing you can do. Don't, transfer this hatred, this phobia to your, coming generation. And at one point of time, slowly it is, how you go, going on is decreasing, decreasing. It will decrease and it will come to a point, it is the end. this was my last thing. Any question?
I actually wanted to know how your experience has been, or if there is any. Have you ever tried holding these kind of workshops or talks in schools? Because this needs a very primary approach. Because universities, when you come to universities or institutions which are where people who are educated and aware of these things, like not all of them, of course, but most of them are, it's easier.
I have a very different view.
Okay.
Honestly, people who are educated are more.
Okay, then
it is very easy. Honestly, listen to me. I mean, of course, okay, you say first.
No.
I'm so sorry. This is wrong with people like us who talk a lot and don't listen to others. So, if I go to chai wala dhaba and I go to barista, I mean, you just be in some corner and notice it. Where I will be more discriminated, and you can of course have this clear understanding what kind of people come where. So this chai wala, when I go and talk, and they'll ask everything. आप क्या करते हो, ये करते हो, अच्छा वो करते हो, अब कब आओगे, ये है, अच्छा very nice, very sweet and very. But when I go to barista or some coffee, मतलब कोई भी अच्छी जगह जहाँ पे पैसे खर्च होते हैं, सारे पढ़े लिखे सभ्य लोग आते हैं, educated. गई भैंस पानी में पूरी की पूरी, मतलब पूरा दिन तुमने कूड़ा कर लिया. It happens. So coming to a place also, so thing, I mean, I don't want to talk politics. Again, तुम मुझे खींच के ले जा रहे हो आप. मत बोलना फिर, I don't know, because I got this invite to talk TEDx, and they said don't talk political, don't talk religion, and don't talk. I said, what I talk? What I talk? This is crappy something. So, I mean, don't get offended, don't mind. I mean, what I'm trying to say here is like, in this big university, I mean, of course, you are a very few numbers who are willing to listen to this, or you are interested and you think equality is important, whether it is gender or X, Y, Z thing. But I don't think so entire university is.
I understand. But what I wanted to know is basically how your experience has been when it comes to sensitizing students in schools. Have schools administrations?
One more story is that.
Have they been very accepting of you?
So one place I was giving this lecture and everybody was so excited. I was like, man, we want to take you out, for lunch and X, Y, Z. I said, I'm ready to go out, for lunch with you. I said, where will we go? We'll go this restaurant. Very nice, ma'am, very nice. I said, I prefer eating home. Can you ask your mother to cook for me? मम्मी का तो मुश्किल हो जाएगा घर पे ले जाना आपको. So you get this? So people are sometimes tokenistic. I'll be blunt, but this is the truth. People try to be nice. People try to be nice when, because I was giving this lecture. I mean, I attended this Women's Day wala thing na, जो भी हुआ था. तो मैंने कहा, am I visible to you? And they said, okay, you are visible to me. You are visible, etc. मैंने किसी दिन मैं तुम्हें सड़क में दिख गई ना तुम्हारी फैमिलियों के साथ, तो कोई मुझसे बात नहीं करेगा. Just you are sitting in a position where nobody is surrounded, you're close by, and you're trying to be elite, nice, educated, and professional, and blush it. You being nice to me, but when you'll be with someone and you'll be like, please take, no, jaldi chal yahan se. This happens. So it is, people are very diplomatic. So my experience with students also, for some period of time they are nice, but when they experience, and they are in a situation where they really need to do something, they don't do. And I really feel, bad. Because I think if it is true that only young people can bring change, or not only, most changes can be, young people can do things and bring change, I don't see that happening. Because again, आखिरी की लाइन से मुझे बोलेंगे रिपीटेड कि हम वो हैं, पता नहीं है नहीं है, हम भारतीय हैं. People हर जगह, it's everywhere. It's not our mistake, it's not our fault, it's not your fault. But we try to be comfortable. We want to be in our own shell, and we want to be, use our time according to our comfort and do things for us. Everybody is not into social work, not everybody is into activism, so it is just phase. You're taking education, you take education, you go into, अरे वो तो मैंने वहाँ पढ़ना था, सीखना था, और सीख लिया. So मैंने इसीलिए I'm not expecting much. I said only one thing: if you ever gonna have kids, don't pass on this to your kids. इतने में ही काम हो जाएगा. And special education वाला part, don't do anything extra. उतने में चल जाएगा. But if you ever hold a position that where you can bring change, then do. तब याद करना कि कोई आके बोल के गई थी कि अब हम क्या कर सकते हैं, थोड़ा brainstorm कर लें. लोगों को बुला के पूछना भी important होता है, what you want. It is very important. As a majority, क्योंकि हमारे देश में कहते हैं ना, जो somebody जो big number में होता है और जो powerful होता है, जो जाति में बड़ा होता है या whatever, I mean again racism की बात आ जाती है वहाँ पे. They think they authorize or they are empowered to take a decision for anybody who is minority, whether it's caste, if it's religion. I don't want to get into it. But वही वाला हो जाएगा, तुम don't talk about gender, religion and politics. So, thank you everyone for सुनने के लिए.
So we wanted to screen a movie. Smriti is here, but is this temperature fine, or we have a second venue on the second floor? We can move there as well. Or we can continue if it's too hot. It's too